This past weekend, I got to attend Holiday Matsuri, a convention in Orlando, Florida that I've been a regular at for the past 4 years. This year, I was given the opportunity to host a panel for the first time. Naturally, I had to make it Star Fox related. This was originally a video idea I've been sitting on for a year and a half, and doing this panel finally gave me the motivation to finish it. Afterwards, I'll give my thoughts on the experience as a whole and my plans going forward. Enjoy. All right, Holiday Matsuri, how are you doing today?
Good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Great to hear. Anyway, my name is Ricky, and I'll be your host for this panel. So for the next hour or so, assuming that I don't go over time, I'm here to talk about one of my all-time favorite video game franchises, Star Fox. Now, throughout this franchise's 30-plus year history, I've noticed that there's been a lot of confusion among the fan base regarding the canonicity with certain games. Seeing how some games are canon, some games aren't, some games kind of are, but just somewhere in the middle. But I'm here to hopefully explain everything as best as I can. And unfortunately, since we don't have an encyclopedia to explain everything, like with Zelda, that's what I'm here for. Now, over the past several years, I played through all of the games multiple times over, and to understand the events that transpire within this universe. As I explain the timeline of events, I'll be breaking down the story of every game and how it connects to one another. I won't be going over every single lore detail within Star Fox, but only the things that are most relevant regarding why certain timeline branches are different from one another. Now, as a disclaimer, everything I talk about is regarding this topic is all based on my own personal research. And as hard as I try to make this perfect, it's possible that I may accidentally omit certain details or get something incorrect along the way. Also, any similarities to anyone else who may have had a similar project to this are purely coincidental. So this is the complete Star Fox timeline explained. I've concluded that based on the stories told within the games released and supplementary material, there are 3 different timeline branches in this universe. Now, the titles for these branches aren't official, but these are what I like to call them. First, we have the original timeline, which is self-explanatory, the modern timeline, which has the longest narrative, and finally, the new timeline, which is the reason why this confusion exists in the first place.
Are we supposed to be seeing a presentation?
No, I'm just reading it off of here.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I thought there's some issues earlier, so I'll just keep it simple.
Got it.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, thank you. Now, for the new timeline, trust me, it's with how confusing it is, you'll understand when we get there. Now, first off, we have the original timeline from 1983 to technically 2017. With this timeline, it contains 2 games and 1 comic book. This is where the franchise first got its bearings on how this world worked. There are plenty of differences regarding the lore for certain characters, which I'll go over when appropriate. It's surprisingly also the darkest of the 3 timeline branches, and you'll see why as we go further. Now, starting off, we have the first Star Fox, released in early 1983. And this game was the first of its kind from a technical aspect, as well as the main blueprint for most of the series going forward. The plot is all explained in the game's manual. Dr. Andros was a brilliant scientist on Corneria who conducted too many dangerous experiments on its inhabitants, resulting in his exile to planet Venom. Sometime later, he reemerges from Venom with an army and declares war on Corneria as revenge. Desperate for help, General Pepper of Corneria contacts the Star Fox team to take on Andros' army. No matter which of the 3 paths you take to get there, the end remains the same. The team takes on Andros by surprise, and they defeat him once and for all. Short, sweet, and to the point. Although games of this era usually require you to beat the game on the hardest difficulty to attain the true ending, since the level 3 final boss has a different form from the others. Also, before I continue, just a show of hands, is everyone here already familiar with Star Fox? All right, is anyone not familiar at all? All right, so with everything I explain, I'll be sure to make it in a way that that everyone can follow through, whether you're a longtime fan or newcomer. Now, coinciding with the release of the first Star Fox was a comic series which was available in the Nintendo Power magazines. In fact, there was a vendor here at the con that was selling these magazines, and I saw I had to pick this up just for this panel.
Nice. That's cool.
Now, this is issue number 45, released in February 1983. Now, these comics were created by Benimaru Ito and ran from February to December of 1983. Each chapter was released on a monthly basis and expanded upon the plot of the first game, as well as continuing the story afterwards. There's enough lore in this comic alone to justify the need of making this branch separate from the others. There are 11 chapters total, with the first 5 closely following the game's story, and the remaining 6 taking place sometime after Andross's first defeat. As such, I'll separate these story arcs into two separate parts, and I'll summarize each chapter as quickly as possible. Part 1, Act 1. On planet Papatoon, the Star Fox team were a gang of bandits akin to Robin Hood, stealing from the Imperials and giving back to the downtrodden. After raiding one of Andross's Imperial freighter ships, the team receives a message from General Pepper requesting their aid in taking down the Emperor. Accepting his offer, the team sneak aboard a cargo ship from Papatoon to Corneria. After boarding, they discover a band of Imperial lizards attacking the ship's interior. The team proceeds to fight them back. Act 2. After defeating most of the lizards, they notice a hostage is being held, a girl named Farrah Phoenix. Before she's taken away, Slippy attacks the captive by surprise and frees Farrah. On Corneria, the Star Fox team tests out new R-Wings and encounters Farrah again in an R-Wing of her own. Fox and Farrah fly out to Imperial territory. Act 3. The team runs into a fleet of Imperials and proceeds to fight them back. An attack carrier appears and it destroys Farrah's R-Wing. After saving her, Fox destroys the carrier himself. Star Fox continues to defeat Andross's army one by one in all of his claimed territory. Before the team sets out for Planet Venom, General Pepper is taken by surprise when a hologram of Andross appears, warning them that Fox is no match for him. Fox gets the idea of ambushing Andross through the black hole. Act 4. Everyone is against the idea, but Fox insists that the R-Wings can handle it. Before he can enact his plan in a fit of rage, Falco knocks out Fox and locks him away. Pepper explains to Farrah that Fox looked up to his father, and he's the reason why he became a pilot. His animosity towards Andross is because of an experiment resulting in the death of Fox's father and the creation of the black hole. Andross was exiled to Venom, and Fox's team were forced to flee to Papatoon to live as outlaws. Meanwhile, the rest of Star Fox intend to modify the R-Wings and carry out Fox's plan without him. Farrah manages to free Fox, and the two of them board the R-Wings before anyone else gets a chance to stop them. Act 5. Falco, Peppy, and Slippy chase after Fox and Farrah as the pair enter the black hole. Fox sees a vision of his father and follows him out of the black hole and into Venom. The team manages to reunite before Andross installs a barrier separating them again, and Fox takes on Andross one-on-one. Meanwhile, Peppy and Slippy find and destroy Herbert the Android Pig, which is Andross's main source of power, as well as his personal companion. Fox defeats the Emperor, and everyone escapes Venom. And that's it for part 1. Aside from the number of creative liberties, this half of the comic is pretty faithful to the source material. It adds a sense of depth to the world that makes it feel lived in, and the characters feel alive. Part 2's story is entirely original and occurs after where the first game would have ended. Now, just a quick note, in this continuity, Fox's father is called Fox Sr. instead of James, as he's known in other continuities. But for the sake of consistency, I'll only refer to him as James in the comic. Act 6. After Andross's defeat, the Imperial Lizards are seemingly reformed and allied with Corneria's forces. Suddenly, a freighter ship crashes on Corneria from Sector Y. General Pepper sends Star Fox to investigate, but the team decides to make a detour to Titania first. Slippy stays behind to fix up the R-Wings with the help of a lizard, while the rest of the team goes to grab food. The lizard knocks Slippy out and kidnaps him, along with stealing an R-Wing and flying off to Sector Y. The team tries to catch up but gets stranded due to their ships getting sabotaged. Act 7. Star Fox is stuck in Sector Y with no fuel and are getting attacked by hostile stingrays. They notice that antennae are sticking out of the stingrays and proceed to destroy them, turning them docile again. They deduce that someone must be controlling the creatures before noticing something coming out of the black hole. Meanwhile, Slippy regains consciousness and is shocked to find out that Andros is still alive. The Emperor tells the story of how his foster parents were killed in a Cornerian military experiment. He joined the academy as a way to get revenge on those who wronged him. Upon his exile to Venom, he discovered ancient ruins who belonged to a long-lost race. Using the knowledge from those ruins, he was able to build one of his devices, which he used to control the stingrays. Back with Starfox, they find out a transdimensional starship in the form of a giant space whale is exiting the black hole, with canisters to refuel the ships. And yeah, in this timeline, things are pretty weird. A crew member from the starship reveals himself to be Fox's father. Act 8. James explains that when the black hole was created, he didn't die, but was transported to another dimension. He was unable to come back. He tells the team that Andros can be found on Fortuna and guides them there. Notified of their arrival, Andros prepares the Monarch Dodova to take care of Starfox. Once the team arrives, James says goodbye for good. Slippy gets imprisoned but is able to free himself and sabotage the lizards. Andros is forced to control the Dodova himself, and he, along with Herbert II, engage their foes. Starfox is struggling to fight back until Slippy reunites with his team. He relays to everyone that Andros is controlling the dragon, and Fox proceeds to sever the connection. The Monarch Dodova gets freed and crushes Andros. Herbert II collects Andros' remains, and Starfox flies back home. Act 9. Herbert II retreats to Andros' base on Venom. Using a DNA sample, Herbert creates two identical clones of the Emperor. Meanwhile, the Starfox team finally returns home to Papatoon. Upon entering the old base, Farah notices a dress on display that belonged to Vixie Reinhard, Fox's late mother. Farah wears the dress, and everyone is surprised at how much she resembles Vixie. Pecky and Slippy notice that the original Herbert is hidden away inside of their base. Slippy is worried about what that could mean. Act 10. The citizens of Papatoon hold a parade for the Starfox team. Slippy is still nervous, realizing that the android pig is gone. Meanwhile, on Venom, the two Androsses are rebuilding their army, preparing to attack once again. General Pepper is informed of this and contacts Fox. The Androsses appear and launch an assault on Papatoon. Fox, Falco, and Peppy ready the Arlings to attack, while Farah and Slippy stay behind after the bishops get destroyed. As the Androsses prepare another attack, the red Andros notices Farah and mistakes her for Vixie Reinhard. Act 11. Awestruck over Vixie's supposed revival, Red Andros calls out to all ships to return to base, much to Green Andros' confusion. The team takes advantage of this pause and ambushes the enemy base. Red Andros calls out to Vixie that he loved her and he's the reason why she died in the first place. Andros planted a car bomb intended to kill James, but Vixie ended up taking it instead. Green Andros is frustrated at his clone's weakness and proceeds to vaporize him. Starfox reaches the base's core, and Fox, in a fit of rage, destroys the base on his own. The remaining Andros and Herbert fly out in an escape pod while Fox chases after them. The pair fly out to the black hole to hide out in the meantime. Fox returns from the chase to tell everyone that since Andros is going to the black hole, James will take care of him once and for all. The parade continues, and Starfox is celebrated as heroes. And that's the end of the Starfox comic. Now, even though it technically doesn't connect to the next game, nor do I think it was supposed to, its ending is open enough to where it can easily be used to bridge the games together narratively. And after that long recap, it's time we get to the next section. The next on this list is Star Fox 2, which was supposed to be released in 1986, 3 years after the first game. But as I'm sure some of you already know, it was infamously canceled when it was close to completion to shift focus on a new game on the N64. It would take over 20 years for the game to finally and officially see the light of day on the SNES Classic Edition, released in 2017. The plot for this game is as simple as its predecessor. Sometime after Andros' initial defeat, he returns with an even greater army and takes control of the Lilac system once again, his main target, Corneria. To put a stop to his revenge, General Pepper enlists the help of the Star Fox team, along with the addition of 2 new pilots named Miyu and Faye, to combat the ongoing threat once again. The main goal is to protect Corneria from the incoming attacks, otherwise the planet will fall. The team travels from planet to planet to whittle down the Emperor's forces. Along the way, they encounter Starwolf, a rival mercenary team hired by Andros. Each member of Starwolf falls before Starfox makes their way to Astropolis, Andros' home base. Once again, the team takes on the evil Emperor and saves the Lilac system once again. Just like the previous game, the main story is all explained in the game's manual and in the opening cutscenes. Everything else is a matter of filling in the blanks yourself. In one of the game's early prototypes, before the inclusion of Miyu and Faye, there were two placeholder characters named Saru and Lady. Both characters resemble Andros and Farah, respectively. Even though these two characters were never meant to be playable for the final game, the fact that they were designed in the first place does give us a loose connection to the comics, tying the whole timeline branch all together. Right, now, before I conclude the segment, in an unrelated note, I just want to let you know what would happen if you fail to save Corneria in this game. A cutscene will play where Andros' fleet attacks a Cornerian base, with a voice desperately signaling out for help, only to get cut off by the base exploding. If not for the simple graphics for its time, this game would definitely earn a solid teen rating, which I think the series should take advantage of in the future. Now, up next we have the modern timeline, lasting from 1997 to 2006. For the modern timeline, this branch has the most content within it, as well as being the longest running. It contains 4 games and 1 manga. Most of the time, whatever the current year is, if someone talks about the Star Fox, this is most likely what they would be referring to. Star Fox 64 was released in 1997 and is meant to reboot the continuity of the original timeline. Elements such as characters' ages, certain planets, and the introduction of new characters were reintroduced in a different manner. This game marks the beginning of a brand new timeline and would be the definitive version of the story that was established in the first game in its tie-in comic. There are 25 total paths you could take to reach the end of the game, each level varying in terms of difficulty. Out of all the paths, 11 of them take you to the hard version of Planet Venom, leading to the game's true ending. It was hard for me to narrow down which path is the best out of these choices, but for the sake of simplicity, I'll go over the entire game as a whole with a general recap of what it entails in certain missions. Andros, a former scientist for Corneria, gets banished to Venom for conducting too many dangerous experiments on the planet. 5 years after his exile, the original Star Fox team of James McCloud, Peppy Hare, and Pigma Dengar are tasked with investigating strange activity on Venom. During this mission, Pigma betrays his team, leading to the death of James. Years after that fateful mission, Andros reemerges with an army and takes control of the Lilat system, a conflict known as the Lilat Wars. James' son Fox is the leader of a new Star Fox team and gets hired by General Pepper to save the galaxy. They begin their mission on Corneria to take out the first of Andros' lieutenants. After doing so, they travel further across the Lilat system to put a stop to Andros' machinations. For each territory they explore, they also encounter allies such as Bill Gray, an old friend of Fox from the Academy, and Kat Monroe, a young woman who has personal ties to Falco. At certain points during Star Fox's quest, they get interrupted by the Star Wolf Squadron, who have been hired by Andros to stop their mission. This team consists of Wolf O'Donnell, Fox's longtime rival, Leon Porowski, a mysterious killer, Pigma Dengar, traitor to James McCloud, and Andrew Oikony, Andros' nephew. After liberating many planets and decimating the Emperor's army, Star Fox eventually finds themselves on Venom, ready to put an end to Andros' reign. Assuming that you took the hard path for the true ending, the team fights Star Wolf, has to fight Star Wolf one more time before Fox goes alone at the heart of Andros' base. The two finally meet and engage in combat. Fox is able to defeat Andros, but not before the mad scientist self-destructs himself to also take down Fox. When all hope seems lost, a vision of James McCloud appears before Fox and guides him out of the exploding base and back with his team. General Pepper congratulates the team and offers them a spot in Corneria's army, to which Fox turns down, preferring to do things his own way. The team flies off from Corneria and rides off into the sunset. While the story is mostly the same as the original Star Fox, you can see the influence everything in the original timeline. You can see the influence of everything in the original timeline in almost every corner of this game. The idea to cancel Star Fox 2 and start over with a new console that can run 3D graphics natively was a gamble that paid off in the end. Moving on, 4 years after the events of the Lilat Wars, we have the one-off manga titled Farewell Beloved Falco. The 64-page story was created to coincide with the Japanese release of Star Fox Adventures and fills in the gaps of what happened in between the two games. The manga had a physical booklet with early copies of Adventures. and the full manga is available to access online in its original Japanese language, but there are English fan translations if you know where to look. The story begins 4 years after Star Fox 64, with Cat Monroe sending a distress signal to Star Fox coming from Titania. Falco goes alone to rescue Cat from the Gorus creature, while the others follow behind, landing on an official Cornerian base in Titania. The team are greeted by Captain Shears, ranking officer of Corneria, and he informs the team of an incident that occurred on the planet. Meanwhile, Cat is explaining to Falco that Shears is up to no good, taking over Andross's old research and continuing it for himself. On the other hand, Captain Shears tells Star Fox of a different story, where there are surviving members of Andross's army developing a weapon that's soon to launch. Falco, along with Cat's gang, the Hot Rodders, are suddenly ambushed by Fox, believing that they're the ones behind this secret weapon. Falco ejects from Cat's ship and proceeds to fight against Fox. The two pilots are evenly matched until Fox outwits Falco, causing the latter to crash his R-Wing on the surface. Peppy scolds Fox for fighting against his teammate, while Fox explains what led up to the fight. Captain Shears is informed that Star Fox didn't take out the enemy ship and deploys the Gorus bioweapon once again. After Fox's explanation, the team grows suspicious of Shears and decides to investigate the main base. Slippy pilots a landmaster and gets ambushed led by the Gorus. Fox and Peppy receive a transmission from Cat demanding a reason for attacking them. Fox is confused about why the Hot Rodders are calling in from what he was informed was Andross's ship. Cat's team explains that they were here because they stole a data blueprint from Titania, which is why Shears recruited Star Fox to eliminate them. After opening the data, they discover that the plans were not for a weapon, but for the resurrection of Andross himself. The Hot Rodders are fending off the Gorus when Cat gets a flashback of Falco telling her that she needs to be more independent. Right when Cat wishes to handle business alone, Falco finally swoops in and takes out the Gorus once and for all. Captain Shears chases after Fox, and the two of them engage in a sword fight, all while Andross's reconstruction completes itself. The former Emperor bursts out of his chamber and pursues Fox in a fit of rage. Fox manages to best Shears in combat, only for the turncoat captain to retreat, ultimately getting crushed to death by Andross. Fox and Slippy find the captured Landmaster and use it to destroy Andross once again. Star Fox and the Hot Rodders celebrate their shared victory, as Falco radios Fox, deciding that he wants to fly solo for a while. He flies off, leaving one last message behind for Cat. Another 4 years later, still without finding a new gig to work, the team finds themselves wandering near Dinosaur Planet. Noticing that the planet is broken apart, they decide to embark on another mission to save the planet from its plight. While this manga doesn't add anything too major to the stories of either 64 or Adventures, I always enjoy learning more about this world in a way that the games are not able to expand. The detail I like the most in this comic is that it establishes that Fox is skilled in hand-to-hand combat, as we see when he picks up the fencing sword to fight Shears, which explains how he's proficient in using Crystal Staff in Adventures. Realistically, the ending of the story is the only thing that connects it to Star Fox Adventures, but even then, there's a small plot hole. The comic ends with Fox deciding on his own to explore the broken planet, while in the game itself, it's General Pepper who hires the Fox to go on the mission. This isn't a translation error because Fox himself makes the choice, and General Pepper doesn't show up in the story. But at the end of the day, we can just chalk this up to a minor writing mistake and focus on what the game itself tells us what happened. Coming after 64, we have Star Fox Adventures, released in 2002 and developed by Rareware. According to the manual and the manga we just discussed, this story occurs 8 years after 64. This game was my personal introduction to the Star Fox franchise when I was 7 years old, and would eventually pave the way for me to explore the rest of the games as I got older. And in a way, it got me to try out other Nintendo franchises further down the line. The biggest talking point regarding this game is that early during its development, this was originally supposed to be a completely different game called Dinosaur Planet. As the story goes, one time during an interview with Shigeru Miyamoto, he noticed strong similarities with Dinosaur Planet and the Star Fox franchise. One such similarity being how the original protagonist, Saber, resembles Fox McCloud. One thing led to another, and eventually the decision was made to rework this game into the Star Fox universe. That meant needing to make major changes in its story to benefit the new world. On top of having to restart the development of the new game between IPs and between consoles, another issue came up: the decision for Nintendo to sell Rareware due to financial issues. Many factors were responsible for this action, and there are plenty of videos you can find that could explain it better. Microsoft ended up being the company to buy them, and that meant that adventures needed to be completed under a deadline. As a result of many of these issues being compiled at once, many story elements had to be cut, rewritten, or simplified. As much as I love this game, there are certain moments throughout it where things feel incomplete. I still believe that a full-fledged reimagining of this game can rectify those problems that it had from over 20 years ago, but that'll be a topic for another time. Anyway, let's talk about this game's story. One last note is that after this game, the world of Dinosaur Planet gets renamed to Saria, and that's how I will refer to it from here forward. We begin with an introduction to Crystal, a girl who traveled to Saria in search of answers for her parents' death and the destruction of her home planet, a plot point that hasn't been resolved and still needs to be revisited, by the way. As she is searching for the source of a distress signal, she gets ambushed by a flying galleon and accidentally drops her magic staff. She manages to board the ship and finds a key, but before encountering the captain of the ship, General Scales. The general, who is the leader of the Sharpclaw army, reveals himself to be the man responsible for ruling the planet with an iron fist. Crystal gets thrown off the ship by Scales, but gets rescued by her dinosaur companion, and the pair fly off to Grizzella Palace, where the distress signal originates from. Using the key she found, Crystal explores the palace deeper to find a wounded soldier of the Earthwalker dinosaur tribe. He explains that he sent out the signal because the preserver spirits, who normally reside in the palace, have been captured and need to be reclaimed. Crystal takes a test to collect the first out of 6 spirits. When she returns the spirit to its designated location, a mysterious force pushes her into the path of the spirit's aura at the heart of the palace. Befitting to her name, she ends up getting trapped inside a giant crystal, where she remains for the rest of the game, and whose purpose will be revealed at the very end. Meanwhile, the Star Fox team are wandering the galaxy when they happen to fly towards a broken planet. General Pepper contacts the team, informing them that this planet, Saria, is on the verge of destruction. He assigns them the mission of exploring Saria and finding a solution on how to fix it. While on the surface, Fox discovers Crystal's staff and uses it for combat and puzzle solving. He aids the local dinosaurs and is tasked by the queen of the Earthwalker tribe to rescue her son, Prince Tricky. Fox warps to Ice Mountain, where Tricky is imprisoned, and Tricky manages to escape, which causes the Sharpclaw who are holding him to give chase. Fox follows after them and saves the prince. The two of them return to the queen, who has fallen ill after being attacked by the Sharpclaw. Fox is able to treat her and is told to go to Snowhorn Waste to save a fellow who can help him further. For the sake of staying within time, I'm going to condense most of the story down from this point. With Tricky by his side, Fox has to explore every corner of Saria to assist the local dinosaurs with their troubles, all of which involving General Scales' army. In order to fix Saria to its former state, Fox has to collect 2 sets of artifacts which are stolen by Scales and return them to their designated locations. The first artifact are the Spell Stones, and their purpose is to absorb energy from within the planet and keep it from breaking apart. There are 4 Spell Stones total, with the first one being hidden with one being hidden away in each of the 4 broken chunks of the planet. The stones have to be returned to 2 different Force Point temples to channel that energy. The second artifact are the Quizora Spirits, which play hand in hand with the Spell Stone's power. Crystal started this test, but it's up to Fox to finish it so that he can save her life. When Fox finds and returns the last of the Spell Stones, he realizes that there's still 2 more spirits to obtain. After collecting the 5th spirit, Fox has to say goodbye to Tricky, making him an honorary member of Star Fox. After separating, Fox flies straight to Grizzella Palace and surrenders the penultimate spirit. A new pathway opens, leading to the final challenge: fight General Scales. However, before Fox and Scales can begin the fight, a mysterious voice interrupts them. The voice tells Scales that he has outlived his usefulness and demands Scales to give up the final Grizzella spirit, which he had been holding on to the entire time. With the final spirit in tow, Fox returns it with the others, and all 6 spirits start entering Crystal. Using Crystal's powers, the spirits eject from her and collect inside the head of a giant Grizzella statue. Fox rescues Crystal and proceeds to board his armory to follow his target into space. The reborn Krazoa god reveals himself to be none other than Andros, the mysterious voice from earlier, and he vows to destroy the Light system using his new power. During this fight, Falco Lombardi flies in from out of nowhere into a Fox. Through their combined efforts, Andros gets destroyed for the final time. With the spirits freed, they return to Saria and repair the broken planet. Fox figures out that Andros was able to revive himself by using Crystal as a conduit to channel the Krazoa's powers into his lingering spirit. With Andros finally defeated, Star Fox gets paid for their actions. Falco shows up, telling Fox that he wants to join the team again. Crystal boards onto the Great Fox afterwards to thank Fox personally, and she joins the team as well. Now, while most of this game's story does flow decently with the new story direction, it's towards the last quarter of the game where things things starts to fall apart, and you notice that the production being rushed. That certain plot points and certain boss fights had to be modified in order to fit the deadline. Again, I still feel like remaking this game without a strict deadline would be able to fix those problems from before. Now, the next game on the timeline is Star Fox Assault, released for the GameCube in 2005. This game combines the vehicle combat from 64, as well as gameplay inspired by adventures and modern shooters during the era. Sorry. No, this game combines the vehicle combat that 64 was best known for, along with ground-based gameplay inspired by adventures and modern shooters from during that era. The story of Star Fox Assault takes place 1 year after the events of Star Fox Adventures, as stated in the game's manual. Crystal is now a full-fledged pilot, and Peppy serves as the team's advisor. The game begins with Andrew Oikini, no longer a member of Star Wolf, using the remnants of Andros' army to attack the Cornerian military. The Team Star Fox appear in the nick of time to take on the dead Emperor's nephew. The team chase Oikini into planet Fortuna and manage to corner him. After a short battle, Oikini is suddenly struck down by an unknown creature called an Aporoid. Fox is able to destroy the Aporoid and collects an item it drops called a core memory. On their way to Katina, Star Fox gets contacted by General Pepper about the coming dangers. Pepper allows the research director, Beltino Toad, Slippy's father, to explain further. The Aporoid that the team encountered is the first time in 17 years that these creatures have emerged. The core memory the team found is being extracted for data, but they need to collect another one to find the answer they need. Fox lands on Katina to respond to a distress call, but gets lured into a trap. He fends off all the Aporoids in the area when a large one gets summoned to the base. This Aporoid carrying another core memory like the previous one. The boss gets defeated, and before Fox can grab the core memory, Pigma Dengar appears, revealing himself as the one who sent the SOS signal, and steals the item from Fox. Chasing after Pigma, the team find themselves in the Sargasso Space Zone, a hideout for criminals controlled by Wolf O'Donnell. The ruffians occupying the zone force Fox into a fight, and Fox manages to take control of the hideout. Star Wolf shows up to fight back against Fox, the team now consisting of Wolf O'Donnell, Leon Kowalski, and Panther Caruso, the newest member of the team. Fox defeats a Wolf and reveals that Pigma isn't in the team anymore. Panther, who is infatuated with Crystal, tells her that Pigma most likely is on planet Ficina. While on the frozen planet, Fox has to fight his way in the climate control center after it was sabotaged to put an end to an ongoing blizzard. The weather clears, but triggers a trap, causing Falco to rescue Fox. The pair clear out more Aporoids when Pigma reappears, revealing that the Aporoids can infect and take control over machinery. The climate center's generator gets merged by the Aporoids, and the team must destroy it, allowing Pigma to escape. Star Fox saves Regina, and Fox ponders over the idea of how those without strong wills could be turned evil. The team chase Pigma, who is now hiding in the asteroid belt. They find their target and are shocked to discover Pigma has been infected by the Aporoids and has fused with a giant machine. Fox destroys Pigma and reclaims the core memory, which contains data of the location of the Aporoid homeworld. The team is summoned to Corneria, but makes a detour to Saria first after Crystal senses a distress call from the planet. The dinosaurs were unable to defend themselves, and Star Fox must clear them up to bring peace to Saria again. They save the planet, and Fox and Crystal reunite with Tricky. Star Fox finally makes it to Corneria, only to arrive after an Aporoid armada decimated many of their military troops. Fox goes on foot to destroy the radar jammers blocking the communication, and puts down the Aporoid infected soldiers. The jammers are cleared, but gets surrounded when attempting to return to his R-Wing. He gets rescued by Wolf, and both rivals temporarily team up. An infected ship containing the body of General Pepper flies towards them and is given no choice but to destroy the general. Pepper's ship falls out of the sky, and Peppy, boarding an R-Wing, prevents the ship's crash from becoming fatal. Wolf departs, leaving behind a helpful piece of advice for Fox. Tina Toad is able to uncover the Asteroid's home and has developed a bomb that can cause all asteroids to self-destruct when fired upon the Queen. Star Fox has to protect the orbital gate stationed above Corneria for it to prepare for teleportation. The asteroid missiles are launched from all directions and are taken down by Fox and Star Wolf, who show up again to help. The gate completes its preparations, and the Star Fox team, along with the Cornerian pilots, transport to the asteroid homeworld. The team ambushes a base near an opening covered by a shield leading to the depths of the planet. They destroy the shield generators throughout the base and prepare to enter. However, a backup shield gets formed and Star Fox is unable to progress further. Suddenly, the Grey Fox, sustaining critical damage and swarmed by asteroids, is plummeting towards the shield. In a last-ditch effort, Peppy sacrifices himself to pierce the barrier and allows the team to travel deeper into the planet. They begrudgingly follow Peppy's plan as the Grey Fox explodes behind them. The Star Wolf team, who also took the teleport gate, flies in from behind, and Fox and Wolf team up one more time. Wolf's team distracts any remaining asteroids, allowing Fox to reach the Queen in the heart of the planet. The asteroid Queen attempts to manipulate the team using the voices of their past allies to lower their guard, including using the voice of the deceased James McLeod. Remembering Wolf's advice from earlier, Fox steals himself and attacks the Queen head-on. After wearing down her defenses, Fox fires the self-destruct bomb into the Queen, only for her to resist the effects. The Queen travels deeper into her nest to escape, but gets chased by Star Fox and ultimately gets eliminated. Every asteroid gets destroyed and the planet blows up. Star Fox escapes the destruction and discovers Peppy and Robs survived by using an escape pod. Fox thanks his team for completing the successful mission. The final installment in the modern timeline is the Nintendo DS title Star Fox Command. According to the in-game pilot bio for the character Amanda, who is Slippy's fiancée in this game, the two of them started dating 2 years ago. So, yeah, Slippy has a girlfriend in this game.
I can't see that. I can't see that.
Yeah,
Slippy's here.
yeah, this game is questionable. Now, assuming that they got together immediately after the asteroid invasion, and assuming that this game is canon, that is the time frame I'm using for when this game takes place. Now, this is where things start to get weird. While Star Fox is no stranger to having multiple endings in its games, usually a normal and best ending, this is where this game has 9, each ending varying in terms of satisfaction, ranging from decent to strange to what were they thinking? To paraphrase the words of the game's director in an interview, none of the endings are meant to be canon because this game was never meant to be the end of Star Fox. But because every game released after doesn't go back to follow this continuity, there are people who still believe that this was meant to be the end. Now, whether it's by thinking they've written themselves into a corner and can't undo it, or they can't find a way to make a single ending canon. The story for this game is that sometime after the asteroid's defeat, a new army of creatures called the Anglars emerge from the toxic seas of Venom and wreak havoc on the Lilac system. The Star Fox team have since broken up, and everyone has gone their separate ways. Fox and Rob are still in the mercenary business, using a brand new mothership after the original Grey Fox got destroyed. Peppy got promoted to be general of the Cornerian military after General Pepper fell ill and can no longer serve. Falco once again is flying solo to fill in the void of excitement that he once had with his old team. Like I said, Slippy found a girlfriend named Amanda.
Sorry.
Yeah. And is now focusing his time with his new partner.
It's really awesome that her name is just like Amanda and not some other animal pun like every other character in the series.
Yeah, other characters do this. She's one of the few that doesn't. And finally, and controversially, Crystal was forced to leave the team by Fox out of concern for her safety, and she ends up dating Panther of Star Wolf.
Okay.
Yep, drama.
Okay. Spoilers. Okay.
Yep, sure. Yeah, game has a lot of drama. It's like a soap opera, pretty much. Now, the game itself begins with Fox returning to Corneria to begin his new mission. Now, after saving a few bases from the Anglars occupying the area, Fox decides that he needs to recruit new allies in order to accomplish his goal. After this first mission, this is where the game branches out into one of its 9 total endings, like a choose your own adventure storybook. After beating the game for the first time, you're given the option to pick different missions for a different outcome. As quickly as I possibly can, here's a brief summary of the 9 endings you can achieve. Yeah, give me a word list. Ending 1. Fox, Falco, Crystal, and Slippy reconcile after separating and team up to defeat the Anglo Emperor. Amanda decides to join Star Fox as well and to always be with Slippy and to help out the team. Andross's grandson, named Dash Bowman, becomes the new benevolent leader of Venom. And Andross has more family, believe it or not. Ending 2. The original Star Fox team of Fox, Falco, Slippy, and Peppy join for one last stand against the Anglo Emperor. After the mission, the team officially retires and Fox settles down with Crystal. They have a son named Marcus who grows up to become a pilot and creates a brand new Star Fox team. Ending 3. The members of Star Fox put the differences aside to put a stop to the Anglars. Once after their victory, for no apparent reason, Crystal decides to leave the team on her own accord, and she rejoins with Starwolf to be at Panther's side. And by the way, that's the default ending of this game. So you're forced to go through
I
this.
just googled what Amanda looks like. Oh my god. Okay. It's just Slippy but pink.
Yeah, and tall. Ending 4.
It's Peter.
The Star Wolf team are called heroes after they defeat the Anglo Emperor. Crystal, who joined with Wolf, gets slandered by the public for abandoning Star Fox. She disappears and assumes a new identity as a bounty hunter, where Fox no longer recognizes the woman she once was. Ending 5. The Star Fox team are successful in defeating the Emperor and are surprised by a victory party by Crystal, Kat, Amanda, and Lucy, who is Peppy's daughter. Peppy and Lucy reminisce over Peppy's deceased wife and Lucy's mother, while Fox and Crystal work out their issues. Crystal officially returns to Star Fox. Ending 6. Fox, Falco, and Dash defeat the Anglo Emperor, and Dash wishes to stay behind on Venom to revitalize the planet. Several years later, Venom grew equal to Corneria in military power. Emperor Dash declares war on Lilat, just like his grandfather. Ending 7. After freeing Planet Aquas from the Anglars, Slippy makes the decision to quit fighting on the spot and marries Amanda. After many years, Slippy has several children for whom he tells stories to about his glory days. And as an old man, he wonders if his friends are still out there saving the galaxy. Ending 8. Falco feels dejected after learning that the Star Fox were able to save the galaxy without needing his help. Cat Monroe messages him, suggesting that he should form a new team. Falco and Cat recruit Dash in the party, and the trio make up the Star Falco Squadron. Ending 9. After Star Wolf cheats Fox out of his victory, Fox gets depressed and retreats to Planet Palpatine. Falco suggests that the two of them should become racers to help Fox out of his despair. Fox gets his life back, and the pair leave behind the old lives of being mercenaries. Now, having that many games and having that many endings that ultimately leads to nothing was a choice that many fans were not happy with. At one point in time, there were plans on having a Star Fox game on the Nintendo Wii that takes place in the middle of Command to reveal the true ending. But unfortunately, it never came to be. Out of the 9 endings, the best ones to me are endings 1, 2, and 5. Since those are the most satisfying conclusions that end positively and doesn't screw over any of the characters we've grown to love. And as unlikely as it may be to get a sequel to this game almost 20 years later, these endings that I picked are the best way to close out this chapter of Star Fox, but keeping it open enough for continuation when the time is right. The final segment for the 3 branches is what I call the new timeline, from 2016 to 2019. In my opinion, this is the reason why there's confusion in the first place among fans and outsiders as to what is still considered canon in the franchise. Leading up to the release of Star Fox Zero, there were many videos and social media posts of people questioning whether this game was another remake of 64, another reboot of the franchise, a prequel, or somewhere in between. According to Nintendo of America, during a Nintendo Live event in 2015, they tweeted stating that Zero is not a prequel or sequel to 64. Despite the simple clarification, most people didn't like the answer and chose not to believe it. And according to Miyamoto, in some interviews leading up to the release of Zero, He says that this game is meant to be a reimagining of the story of 64. That's why a lot of the the plot for both games are similar to one another, and why you see elements that were present in the original story, such as the teleporters, new levels, and new vehicles. While I can't prove this next point, I believe that Zero was originally meant to be a standalone title, since it's a combination of a story that made Star Fox popular and a gameplay mechanic meant to showcase the potential of the Wii U gamepad. A few years too late, if you ask me. Now, anyway, after that long explanation, let's talk about Star Fox Zero: The Battle Begins, an animated short created by Production IG in Wit Studio. This 50-minute short debuted before the release of Zero and was later available to download with the game's demo. The animation takes place before and during the first mission of the main game. We begin with Andros spying on General Pepper, ready to enact his plan on invading the galaxy. The peaceful inhabitants of Corneria are taken by surprise. Star Fox arrives outside the planet where they receive a call from the General to save everyone. The team launch their R-Wings to Corneria City to fight back against Andros' army. They ward off the attacking robots and lead them away from Pepper. A flying fortress hovers over the General's tower, and Fox destroys it, saving the planet. The team are summoned to Sector Alpha to continue the fight against Andros. General Pepper sends a secret message to Peppy about something that must be done now that Andros is back. The short ends with Andros anticipating the arrival of Fox McCloud. This brief animation showcased many things that fans would like to see out of the franchise. The animation style, action, and world building would lend itself perfectly to a full-fledged anime or even a movie. And my favorite part about this short is how we get to see the people of Corneria living their normal lives. It establishes that Corneria is not just another level for you to play through, but is actually a living, breathing world, something the franchise needs to take advantage of more in the future. And similar to the ending of Farewell Beloved Falco, this short ends on a plot point that differs than what we see in the actual game. Peppy is given a secret objective apart from his team, but the game never follows up on what it was and why it's so important. The closest thing I can think of is how there's a secret mission in Zero where you play as Peppy, but it doesn't connect to what General Pepper told him about. This was probably done to incentivize players to buy the game and to find out for themselves, a strategy that sadly didn't work in the game's favor, as it ended up being the lowest selling game in the whole franchise. Now, for the game itself, Star Fox Zero was released for the Wii U in April 2016 by Platinum Games. And as I said earlier, this game reimagines the events of Star Fox 64, but with a twist, including the use of teleportation devices, which are meant to play a big role in the game's story. Contrary to popular belief, Zero isn't supposed to be a reboot of the franchise, but is more of a what-if scenario on a much-beloved storyline. The game's introduction plays exactly the same as with 64, except Fox is the narrator, and he goes more in depth on things that transpire between Pigma's betrayal of James and Peppy to the Star Fox team's revival. My synopsis for Zero will mostly be a repeat of what I already said for 64. Fox becomes the new leader of his father's team and has to put an end to the war. Andros is making quick work of his takeover thanks to the portals he invented to quickly traverse the galaxy, which Fox uses himself to take advantage to warp to anywhere at a moment's notice. But there are a couple of new story changes that are worth explaining in detail. Near the end of the main campaign, Star Fox has to travel through Sector Omega as a shortcut to reach Venom, where Andros' base resides. However, Venom mysteriously disappears, leading General Pepper to summon Fox back to Corneria. Andros uses a teleporter to whisk General Pepper's tower to Venom. Before the portal fully closes, Fox travels quickly into. Sorry, I'm doing a typo here. Now, before the portal fully closes, Fox travels quickly inside it to reach Andros' base. The biggest change that Zero introduced was changing Venom from a desolate wasteland into a dwarf planet. The best way I can explain it is, imagine if Venus turned into Pluto. So that's what happened to Venom in this game. This new dwarf planet has been fitted with Andros' portal technology, with his base residing in a much deeper and much larger space than how it appears from the outside. Otherwise, the story plays out the same way towards the end. Fox fights Andros and defeats him. Andros pulls one last trick to take out Fox. James guides his son out of the planet, and Fox is wondering whether or not he was actually there. the team are rewarded as heroes, and they fly off into the sunset. Now, for the sake of time, I have to skip over the spin-off title Star Fox Guard, which is bundled up with Star Fox Zero. It's a spin-off, and it takes place alongside Zero, so it's not really important to the story. But but to summarize, it takes place at the same time as Zero, but from a different perspective. For the final entry of the new timeline and the final game we'll be talking about, we have Starlink Battle for Atlas, published by Ubisoft and released in 2018. This game is playable on the Nintendo Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and PC, but the Switch version is the only one everyone cares about. Now, because the Switch version has extra content that the others do not have, with that content being none other than Star Fox, that automatically makes it the best version of this game. Now, sorry about how to make the rules, just look at the game sales. The Switch version sold the most. Anyway, the Star Fox side mission in this game is supposed to take place shortly after Star Fox Zero. The Star Fox content is part of the base game and can be played alongside the main story. The team is tasked with finding Wolf O'Donnell, who found himself exploring the Atlas star system after Andros' defeat. Star Fox teams up with the pilots of the Starlink initiative, and both parties assist each other in accomplishing their own goals. Wolf manages to ally with the outlaws of Atlas and is proceeding to recover primes, which are powerful weapons used by the Forgotten Legion, the main antagonist of the Starlink game. Wolf intends on transporting the primes back to the Light system and plans on using them to take over Corneria. Star Fox and Starlink are able to destroy the primes and engage Wolf in combat. With his plan foiled, Wolf retreats, and Fox continues to assist the Starlink team with their main mission. In the Crimson Moon DLC, Wolf returns and is back with a vengeance. Star Fox and Starlink receive a surprise package containing a message from Pigma, Leon, and Andrew of Star Wolf. Using a teleportation device which may or may not have anything to do with Star Fox Zero, they make their way to Atlas to avenge the leader. Each member of Star Wolf has to be taken down by their respective rivals in Star Fox. When you play the game, it is Peppy versus Pigma, Leon versus Falco, and Slippy versus Andrew. After taking out the three Star Wolf members, Wolf returns and to help his team one more time. After they all get defeated, they get transported back to the Light system. And after helping out with Starlink once again, they decide to stay behind until to assist this team until they find their way back to the Light system themselves. Now, after the many hours of research, this is what I believe to be the most accurate timeline of events that occurs in the franchise. Now, I personally believe that most of the confusion could have been avoided if there was simply a better explanation on Nintendo's part on what each game is supposed to be in relation to the others. If we were to eventually receive another Star Fox game in the future, which still hoping would happen, what would be the best way for Nintendo to go about it? Now, I have three solutions on what they could do going forward, and I'll run through this quick. Almost out of time. My first solution, which I don't recommend, but I'll still say anyway, would be to reboot the series again, but with a clear vision for the future. If Nintendo wants Star Fox to be a mainstay series again, like it was before, they could really take the time to map out a plan of events on how to keep the series going on. The pros would be that they don't know what they're doing with this new direction. But the cons are that this has already happened multiple times. And I don't want Star Fox to only be known as the franchise that has to keep starting over because Nintendo doesn't know what they want to do with it. My second solution, which is the safest option, would be to continue off of the modern timeline and act like nothing ever happened. Since this branch already has the most amount of story, it would be a waste to leave it all behind because of some questionable decisions that were made during that time. Now, depending on who you talk to, a new game could take place immediately after Assault and negate the events of Star Fox Command, or it could follow after one of the three best endings for Star Fox Command. That's an option that I still think would be the best to go through. And my third and final solution, which is the most ambitious but could be doable, would be to consolidate every timeline into one. Now, Star Fox is one of those franchises that doesn't need multiple variations of the same characters, nor does it make sense to have that. And as strange as it may have been to reboot the series the first time, I can understand why it had to be done during that era. Now, I did some mapping from this, and aside from, and here's what I came up with. Cutting out the original timeline, we can combine the modern and the new. We start off with Star Fox 64 as the beginning of the story of Fox McCloud. With Star Fox Zero being a reimagining of the story, we can combine those games together. And with Star Fox Guard being a spin-off that takes place at the same time, we can bring that together too. After the Lilac Wars, we have Starlink, where Wolf goes on his own after Andros' defeat and tries to take over Corneria. After he gets defeated, and Star Fox comes back home from Atlas, that's when Farewell Beloved Falco would happen, where they take on Captain Shears and Falco leaves the team. After that, we would have Star Fox Adventures, where Fox has to save Planet Soria, Crystal joins the team, and Falco rejoins the team as well. After that is Star Fox Assault, where they have to fight the Asteroids. And then Star Fox Command would be at the tail end. There's no canon ending to this, but if you wanted it to be a conclusive ending, I'd personally go with ending number 1, where Fox settles down and his son becomes the new leader. But if you wanted a basic continuation of this franchise, I'd say endings 2 or 5 would be the best, since the team comes back together and they carry on as if nothing ever happened. Now with Star Fox, this is Star Fox being 32 years old, and it was still waiting for a new game. I'm still holding out for Nintendo to make an announcement, and I'm just hoping that whatever they go for would be able to satisfy everyone at the end. And with that concludes my panel. Thank you everyone for attending. And there are 5 minutes to spare. All right. Now we will need to clear out soon, so if you guys don't mind, a few things. I would like to get a picture with everyone, since this is my first time getting to host a panel, and I appreciate everyone for sticking with me in the end. And glad to see some fellow Star Fox fans here. We're agreed.
Good.
Yeah, because I imagine, I've never hosted it.
As usual, thank you everyone for watching. Admittedly, when I presented this panel, I wasn't as prepared as I wanted to be. For example, I got my email from the convention a week and a half before the event began that they would want me to host a panel, and because of that, I had to rush my script in order to meet the deadline. Not only that, but like I said earlier, this whole idea was supposed to be for a full-length video, and I didn't get to finish it because I thought I lost the original script. And I had put so much work into it that I just wasn't able to get back into continuing what I started. But thankfully and miraculously, I was able to find it right as I got that email, and I got to work as soon as I could. Not only that, but I also had a PowerPoint with a bunch of visual examples, but I wasn't able to show it because in the panel that was hosted before me, the host was having technical difficulties with the projector, where the screen would go on and off at any random moment. So for the sake of keeping things simple and hopefully not wasting time trying to fix those issues, I just decided to read off my script and hopefully explain it in a way for everyone to follow. I did get feedback from my guests saying that while they did enjoy it, it would have helped if they were to see what I was talking about to help them get a better understanding as to what I'm trying to explain. And to rectify that issue, I plan on covering this topic again, but in a full-length video, complete with visuals and everything else that I've done in the past. For those of you who attended Holiday Matsuri and saw this panel, or if you weren't able to attend the con at all, let me know what you think. While I'm normally no stranger to public speaking, I still get jitters from time to time, and it was hard for me to fully shake off until a little later when I knew that my audience was following along with me. But that's just how it goes with this kind of thing. After this experience, I would definitely like to host another panel at another convention at some other time. What it's going to be, I do have some ideas, but it'll be ready when it's ready. Once again, thank you everyone for watching.